house. We have people in industry who wanted to make some quick money. So we have many different scenarios going on at the same time, which creates a storm in the economy. And it really comes from unconsciousness. Because if we really take a look at our history and how business plays out, how real estate plays out, how anything in this world plays out, there's always an ebb and flow. And really what I'm feeling is going to be coming through is getting back to basics, getting back to the family, getting back to the business where we're all connected, where we all move in one direction and understand that the highs aren't going to be forever, but neither are the lows. And we're going to have much more balance. But it's really about bringing consciousness into every area of life.
And that's very astounding what you just said, because what you said is it's going to get back to people being people, and that's where we kind of lost our way.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this coming more every day for myself and the world. But Kerri, when you really get somebody going forward, what is something that really propels them into the next paradigm?
Well, it's really interesting, Rob, because what happens with coaching is we're working, and there are different elements that come into the coaching sessions, and it's almost like little pieces of fragmentation of a personality per se, and we work on the blocks, and we work on the blocks, and we work on the blocks, and then it's almost a miracle happens. All of a sudden, there's a breakthrough, and it's a breakdown of the egoic mind, a piece of the person that's no longer working, and they catch a glimpse of it. They work on their observer, and their observer becomes more and more prominent. And through coaching, through core energy coaching, these shifts are permanent. You will never, ever go back to the same behavior, because it is absolutely going into the brain and deciding if you want that habit. When you bring a habit to light and a conditioning pattern that's unconscious, and you're in coaching, and what happens in coaching is people will tell me that they keep getting the same results over and over and over. So we start looking at what steps are you taking to get this result. Now, when they become aware of the steps that they're taking, they no longer have to take those steps. Then we rediscover the steps that they want to take new steps, new actions, new results. So it's really shining the light on how they want to create. They're never going to go back to the old way of doing anything because they know it doesn't work. So it is really, that's where they get the breakthrough, when they really get that aha moment, and then they never, ever fall back into that piece of unconsciousness again. It's impossible.
And I've got a question from the chat room,
okay.
Kerri. What about the earth changes and the ascension?
What about the earth changes and the ascension?
Yeah.
With regard, I'm not sure I understand what the...
What do you think's going on with the earth changes in the world? You know, the climate change and stuff like that, I believe.
Okay, well, this is a pretty big topic around the world. The way that I look at it is through some evolution. I know we went through the Ice Age. I know we've gone through many different stages in the Earth. So I'm hoping that it's the Earth's natural way of cleansing itself. And if there's a reason for it, there are no mistakes. So hopefully the outcome, whether it's natural or man-made, is that man wakes up. And I really think that to really honor the earth and where we come from and really give love to the earth is really going to help us to connect and be more conscious as human beings. So I think it goes all hand in hand with consciousness. And it all makes sense that it's all happening now.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of make all the men mad in the world right now, but how do you think male ego has played into all this stuff? Because I've went through an egotistical collapse.
Okay.
Every once in a while, my ego still plays in, and all ego means is edging genius out. And But anyway, how do you feel the people that want to, not just the male ego, but people that want to have that kind of the egotistical values of their life has really set this earth up, set this country up and the world up for the challenges we face?
Well, I think that the ego is a great reflection on what society looks like. So really how the ego plays out is exactly perfect for this moment. And there are going to be people that are at different levels of consciousness, and some people still need to be in the egoic unconscious mind until they decide that it's their time. And I'm sure with you going through your shedding of your ego, you have a full understanding that it really is a choice, and you've educated yourself, and it was a decision, and it happened when you were ready, not before.
Yeah. And really, you said something earlier in the show. It's called letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you don't let go, you can't manifest your desires.
Absolutely, and that hard ego has to break sometime. So I'm really not worried about the male ego. It's gonna break for somebody when they're ready, because when it does break, your whole life changes, and you really have to be prepared for that. So if someone's holding on to their ego right now, that's what they need.
And you know, another thing is I've really come to understand that you actually listen your way to where you want to go. And how do you think that plays in for everybody? The listening is actually the way through your life.
Listening?
Listening.
Yes, listening actually is an act of loving. So when you're listening and you're listening to somebody, it really does help you to move through your life, because everybody in your life is a gift. If they're your friend or your enemy or a child, they're all a gift, and they may have a message for you. So it's always worth listening, because that's how we grow and we all evolve. We all need each other. So if we're not listening to someone else, we're not giving ourselves a chance to let go. We're holding on to our ego when we're not listening, because we have this hard shell, not letting anybody in. But just listening to someone doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but the power of having another interpretation of what's going on opens your life completely. Listening is one of the most incredible gifts that we have. So I absolutely agree with you, Rob, on that.
And see, the thing is, you know, when you're listening, you know, an enemy to me, this is my opinion, an enemy to me is something within me that I feel inadequate around that person. Do you feel that, or is it something?
I absolutely do. Yeah, it's absolutely. An enemy is just another name for a friend or a teacher. And I agree. It is something that you are projecting a piece of you onto them and saying that you don't like them, but really it's an unknown aspect of your shadow self.
And do you feel that's something within you you're unwilling to look at, or you have a fear of looking at, or it's something that you know you desire to look at, but you have that, that uneasy feeling? You might not like what you see, but in the end you know you will?
Absolutely, and it's all part of being human, and it's all part of consciousness. And sometimes we're just not ready to accept that part of us, because sometimes it's very painful to whatever we dislike in our enemy. We obviously dislike this in our enemy because we really don't like it, and to accept that for ourselves is painful. And that's what happens with coaching. It's when you have a coach, all of those come into play, because if there's somebody that's causing that much pain in your life, you're going to bring it into the coaching session. And how a coach helps a client is to process those emotions and come to a place of peace and acceptance. And what's really awesome about it is every single time that person no longer brings pain to them, because they've accepted it, they've released it, and it's